Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling the Internet of Things, or IoT. It's this huge network of physical objects, things with sensors, software, connectivity.
Yeah, everyday things talking to each other in the internet.
Exactly. And your sources really cover the spectrum from our daily lives right through to big industrial operations.
Consumer and industrial, both sides.
So our mission here is to pull out the most, important insights, maybe some surprising facts about how IoT is genuinely reshaping things.
And it's happening fast. It feels like it exploded recently.
It does. And that seems to be because a whole bunch of technologies kind of converged, right? Came together at the right time.
That's spot on. And it's way more than just, smart speakers or thermostats, although those are part of it.
Right.
At its core, IoT is about these physical things. Could be tiny, could be massive machines having tech embedded in them, stuff that lets them swap data.
So not traditional computers, but they have some processing power.
Exactly. Think sensors, maybe monitoring temperature, motion, your heart rate, even the structural health of a bridge. It's broad.
Wow. And the name itself, Internet of Things.
Ah, yeah. That actually goes back to 1999. Kevin Ashton at Procter & Gamble coined it. He was focused mainly on RFID technology then.
Interesting. But the real takeoff was later.
Yeah, Cisco points to around 2008, 2009. That's roughly when the number of connected objects actually overtook the number of people on Earth.
That's a wild statistic, a real shift to machine communication then.
Definitely a turning point.
So what specific technologies falling into place made that happen around then? It sounds like a confluence.
It really was. You had several key things mature simultaneously. Microchips got super cheap.
Okay.
High-speed internet became much more widespread. Cloud computing offered the needed back-end infrastructure, storage and processing power.
Right. The cloud was crucial.
Absolutely. Sensor technology got better and cheaper. And importantly, we developed big data analytics tools capable of actually making sense of all the data these things started generating.
So it's the combination and the cost dropping that really lit the fuse.
Precisely. It wasn't just that the tech existed, it became economically feasible to connect billions of devices.
Okay, so it sounds complex. Can you break down the main sort of layers or components of this IoT ecosystem?
Sure. Think of it in maybe 4 main parts. First, the smart devices, the things themselves. They have sensors collecting physical data, temperature, light, whatever, processors, and ways to communicate.
Got it. The hardware on the ground.
Then number 2 is connectivity, how they talk. This is super diverse. Bluetooth, low energy for your fitness tracker, maybe Wi-Fi at home, or things like LoRaWAN for, say, smart city sensors spread over miles. Low power is often key.
So different needs, different connections. Makes sense. Gateways fit in here.
Yeah, gateways often bridge the gap, translating between different device protocols and connecting them to the wider network or the cloud.
Okay, what's next?
Third is the IoT platform. This is often cloud-based software. It manages the devices, collects the data, provides tools for building applications, handles storage, integrates with analytics. It's like the central nervous system.
The middleware holding it together.
You could say that. And finally, number 4, analytics and AI. This is where the magic happens, turning raw sensor readings into useful information, finding patterns, making predictions, maybe even triggering automatic actions using machine learning.
So the data feeds the AI, and the AI makes the system smarter.
Exactly. It's a symbiotic relationship. But this layered structure also creates challenges.
Like what?
While getting devices from different companies to talk to each other, that's interoperability. It can be a real headache. And security. Every connected device is a potential door for attackers.
Right. Security must be a huge concern. So underpinning all this, what are the key enabling technologies we should highlight?
We've touched on some. Definitely low-cost sensors, ubiquitous connectivity, all those wireless options we mentioned, cloud platforms for scale, big data analytics and ML to extract value.
AI for automation and intelligence.
Yes, AI is becoming increasingly central. Also, miniaturization making tech smaller and just the economics of computing getting cheaper, like Moore's Law in action. IoT really stands on the shoulders of progress in related fields, battery tech, network coverage, cloud pricing.
It's a whole ecosystem of technologies advancing together.
Yeah.
Let's bring it closer to home. For consumers, besides smart homes, what's an example that gives that aha moment?
Wearables are big, but I think connected cars are a great example. Think predictive maintenance.
Okay.
Your car having sensors that detect a potential problem before it actually breaks down. Maybe it even schedules the service appointment for you.
Wow, okay. That changes the ownership experience completely.
It does. Cars become these dynamic software platforms, getting updates over the air, adding features. It's a big shift.
And on the industrial side, the IIoT, where's a major impact?
Again, predictive maintenance is huge in manufacturing. Imagine sensors on critical factory machines, detecting tiny vibrations or temperature changes that signal trouble brewing. Companies can then fix things proactively, avoiding costly, unplanned downtime. It fundamentally changes the economics of running a factory, extending asset life.
Huge efficiency gains there. So clear benefits, convenience, efficiency. But you mentioned challenges. Let's recap the main ones.
Definitely. Security is top of the list. Weak passwords, lack of updates on cheap devices create big risks. Privacy is another. All this data being collected. Who owns it? How is it used?
The transparency issues.
Exactly. Interoperability, that fragmentation problem we talked about. And just managing the sheer volume and variety of data. We're talking potentially trillions of data points.
Are there efforts to fix things like interoperability?
Yes, there are standardization efforts like the Matter protocol for smart homes, trying to get devices speaking the same language. And security needs a multi-layered approach, from the device chip all the way to the cloud.
Okay, looking forward then. What's the trajectory? Where is IoT heading?
We're seeing a tighter fusion of AI and IoT, they call it AIoT. Think more intelligent automation. Also, edge computing is growing fast.
Processing data closer to the source.
Right. Instead of sending everything to the cloud, you do some processing locally on the device or a nearby gateway. Reduces lag, saves bandwidth. Critical for real-time stuff. Think edge AI.
And connectivity, 5G, 6G.
They'll enable much more demanding applications, real-time control, complex smart cities, vehicle-to-everything communication. But it'll likely be a mix. We'll still use low-power networks, Wi-Fi, and even satellite IoT for remote areas.
So scale is the big story.
Absolutely. Projections are for tens of billions of connected devices by the end of the decade, generating just unimaginable amounts of data, hundreds of zettabytes. Addressing the challenges at that scale is crucial.
Any specific future applications to watch?
Digital twins are really fascinating. Creating a virtual replica of a physical asset like a jet engine, a wind turbine, even a whole factory.
A simulation.
Yes, but a dynamic one fed by real-time data from the actual asset. Allows for remote monitoring, testing scenarios, predicting failures. It's incredibly powerful across many industries.
Wow. It really underscores this massive shift towards a, well, hyper-connected, data-driven world that IoT is driving.
Yeah.
It touches basically every sector.
It really does.
And for organizations, adapting isn't really a choice anymore, is it? It feels like a necessity to stay relevant.
Absolutely essential. Strategic adaptation is key.
So, a final thought for you, the listener. As you go about your day, maybe start noticing the connections. Think about how this increasing interconnectedness we've talked about might impact your own routines or the industries you know best. What specific possibilities or even concerns jump out at you? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.